And welcome to the Heartland. We are talking free practice 1 and 2. Yes, F1 Friday. Is Mercedes back? As you can see here, Lewis Hamilton fastest. He was fastest in FP2. Not so much in FP1. We'll be getting into that. Also, Alpine, a bit of a surprise. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, this is FP1, and to the right of your screens as you're looking at it, we have a Norris fastest in FP1, but only by a smidgen, because it was by 24 hundredths of a second that he beat out the soon-to-be possibly four-time world champion, Max Verstappen. I say potentially, possibly. Do we have a championship fight? I think a lot is going to rest on this weekend. And Red Bull not looking as dominant as I thought they would. Sainz in third, just 3.5 tenths off. Just under 4 tenths off Russell. Then Perez nearly half a second down, but not too bad. Within half a second of his, within half a second of his teammate, sorry. Piastri sixth. Those McLarens looking good. Hamilton supposedly had a higher fuel load, according to some, in 7th. And 8th was Ocon. Not bad. I mean, Ocon in the top 10 within a second. Alonso 9th in the Aston Martin. Kind of disappointing, really. About a second off at his home Grand Prix. 10th was Albon, not bad at all. Then Leclerc, he did have a few balance problems, though, in FP1. Then Bottas and Gasly. Stroll, Stroll. But he was only a couple of tenths. He was within a couple of tenths of Alonso, though. Well, 3 tenths of Alonso. And then we had Daniel Ricciardo, Zhou, Magnussen, Sargent, Behrman. Yeah, Ollie Behrman's back, 1.6 seconds off. He was only a couple of tenths off his more experienced teammate at the time, Mr. Magnussen and Kevin. And Tsunoda last, but Tsunoda did have an issue there. So let's quickly then have a look at the 1s, 2s, 20ths of FP2. So Hamilton, 22 thousandths or 2200 or 200ths faster than Carlos Sainz. It is close. And this is Sainz's home Grand Prix. Wouldn't he want to win? And Norris, 55 hundredths off Lewis Hamilton's time. We know Hamilton's good in Spain. He does have a really, really solid record. Gasly, though, is the big one. 4th. Gasly in 4th, within 2 tenths of Lewis Hamilton, and faster than Max Verstappen, who finished 5th, just shy of 2.5 tenths. Leclerc about 3 tenths off. Piastri about 3.5 tenths off. George Russell ended up being 8th, 4.5 tenths off. About half a second off was Ocon. So half a second, just over 2 thousandths, so 0.502 off the fastest. And when you look at that, Alpine's suddenly looking good. Has Flavio Briatore, the man that's come out, kicked them up the backside. We've got Bottas 6 tenths off, Magnussen about 7.5 tenths off, Hulkenberg just shy of 8 tenths off, and 8 tenths off we had Sergio Perez. So he was a good, let me look at it, he was about 6 tenths, over half a second off Max Verstappen. Now Max didn't have the best practice, if I recall. He was struggling with the balance, so I imagine Sergio Perez must have been doing that as well. So we have Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Zhou, Stroll, as I mentioned, Stroll in 18th, Albon and Sargent at the back. That's disappointing for Williams. Ricciardo and Tsunoda really close to each other, within half a tenth. Alonso again having that 2 to 3 tenths advantage over Lance Stroll, but down to 14th. So let's have a chat about what the teams thought. I mean, Lewis Hamilton has come out and said the car's feeling great as he hails Mercedes practice, amongst obviously all this controversy about this email about Hamilton being sabotaged. I don't think so. Wolf has come out and said, why would we do that? We want to win the Constructors. Completely understand. Is there favouritism in Mercedes, though? Absolutely, I'd imagine there is. And we've got a video about it as well, where we talk about Mercedes even going to the police. But I digress. Hamilton, though, he was really, really pleased with how his Mercedes showed. Following on from what was Mercedes' strongest weekend last time out in Canada, they looked to be again on form in Barcelona, but with the caveat that the 22 Mercedes and 23 Mercedes did look very good at Barcelona as well. And Hamilton set the pace with a 1:13.264. He praised the feel of the W15 in the session. He also suggested that the team still have further work to do in order to remain in the battle at the front. P1 was so-so, Hamilton reflected at the end of Friday's running. He said, I went one direction with the car. We learned quite a lot in that session. And then P2 definitely felt quite a bit better. finally Hamilton makes changes to the car and it goes better. I think we made some good changes and the car's feeling great today. Very hot track, very tough for the tyres, especially in the long ones, but it doesn't feel like we're too far off. So well done, Lewis Hamilton, is what he said. It's going to be close again, says McLaren, and absolutely, when you look at the free practice 2 results in particular, it is going to be close, but it was Lando Norris that was really, really quick out of the box, and he said, I think a pretty good day was Norris's verdict after a sweaty day. Yeah, nice. It's never easy in these hot conditions, he said. Like, it never feels amazing. The tyres overheat very quickly. It's pretty much the consensus around the paddock, to the point where it looks like it's going to be most certainly a 2-stop, if not more. But Norris went on to say, so it's difficult to get everything in the perfect window, but I think all in all, it was a good start to the weekend. So yeah, I think McLaren looking good, Ferrari looking good. You got to say... You've got to say that Red Bull maybe not looking so good. And here's an interesting article that I'd like to share with you on planetf1.com. And it says here, the Spanish Grand Prix Red Bull data, weak spots discovered as F1 rivals gain ground. Yeah. However, the talk of Red Bull's superior dominance has fallen apart, at least for the time being. We thought they'd be dominant coming into the weekend, at least a lot better than the other teams. Now, Mercedes and McLaren have been quite comfortable at the front. Red Bull and Ferrari have struggled more, even though Sainz did put in that banger lap. Leclerc complained that his Ferrari was horrendous, unlike Carlos Sainz, who was feeling more comfortable. The Spaniards SF24 mounted the new Ferrari floor from the start of FP1, while Leclerc kept the old spec for comparison. In FP2, Leclerc came into the pits and mechanics made a significant setup change to his ride height cam and balance modifications. It's clear they'll need to do FP3 to understand essentially what they've got behind them. But more unexpected than Ferrari, it's saying, was Red Bull. Verstappen complained of understeer, lack of grip on the rear of his car, and the data shows that despite being fast in the first and third sector, in the second sector, the slowest and most twisty, Red Bull has they're saying major problems compared to their rivals. Quite helpfully, we've got the best sectors here, which I think is quite interesting. So, Sector 1 time, absolutely. Red Bull, they do have arguably the best straight line speed. But Sector 2, and this is the one, and they are nearly 6/10 off. Oh my gosh. That's horrendous. They are the slowest car in that sector, it says here, apart from Williams, second slowest. And then they get a tiny bit back in that third sector in general. So even Sergio Perez, with the car seemingly more wing-loaded than Verstappen, was 6/10 off Lando Norris' best sector of FP2. The Mexican appears to be going through a tough run of form, and it seems that the setup changes at Red Bull between the morning and afternoon did not work for him. It's difficult to draw a definitive conclusion, as the data always has to be taken with a pinch of salt. Yet we don't know fuel levels, how much they're running their engine, as we are missing variables at the team. But it's clear Red Bull have a lot of work to do overnight. But don't hang your heads, don't frown upside down, Red Bull fans, because the amount of times Red Bull seemingly gets on that simulator overnight on the Friday and gets it all right for the Saturday, something that Mercedes were quite good at as well, and then all was right with the world. So that's pretty much your lowdown on FP1 and FP2. Hamilton fastest, looking good. It looked close anyway. I guess we'll have to wait for FP3 and then qualifying. But it is looking potentially as competitive as Canada. Can Max Verstappen pull one out of the bag and get pole position and get a race victory? I've always said the 22 and 23 championship, really, really solid. Doesn't mean that much in terms of competition. Him winning in Canada shows us how amazing this guy is and can be going into the future, be potentially an all-time great. This is where the greats are going to be earning their money. Max Verstappen, are you up to it? We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe if you can. That would be absolutely amazing. We're getting a few subscribers. We try and comment. I try and comment on most of your comments, all of them, where I can. And we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.